President Donald Trump outlined his vision for a next-generation class of battleships last year, positioning them as a core component of a proposed Golden Fleet of advanced naval platforms that the United States Navy intends to develop and deploy. In his keynote address at the Sea-Air-Space Symposium, Secretary of the Navy John Phelan emphasized the operational value of the future battleship concept, describing it as a highly versatile platform designed to provide commanders with a broad spectrum of both offensive and defensive capabilities. He said, "I've heard the critiques, and that's too vulnerable, too expensive, too big. We've heard that before about carriers and about submarines, and yet when it matters most, those are the platforms combatant commanders call for first." The Trump administration aims to reinvigorate the United States shipbuilding industrial base in parallel with the development of the Trump-class battleship program. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how Trump-class battleship is shaping up. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted and fastest VPN brand that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte. NordVPN provides a 256-bit encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy and also enables you to access contents that are blocked based on geolocation. Its threat protection system helps you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. NordVPN application is available for all the major platforms as well as browsers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive saving by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Historically, battleships were designed to dominate through armor and firepower. The Iowa-class battleship remains the most iconic example, combining massive guns, thick armor, and high speed. These ships were intended to engage enemy fleets directly and provide naval gunfire support for amphibious operations. However, by the late 20th century, their role had been eclipsed by aircraft carriers and guided missile ships. The shift was driven by the increasing range and precision of air power and missiles, which rendered traditional gun-based engagements largely obsolete. A future U.S. Navy battleship would therefore be fundamentally different in design philosophy. The platform is intended to deliver high-volume, long-range offensive fires and serve as a command and control platform for manned and unmanned platforms. As per the budget documents, its advanced systems will enable true long-range strike with hypersonic weapons housed in new, larger vertical launch systems. Vastly increased power generation, managed by a sophisticated integrated power system with high-capacity energy storage, will support mission-critical directed energy weapons like high-output lasers and electromagnetic railguns, reducing reliance on costly single-use munitions. Furthermore, its advanced naval gunfire offers cost-effective options for strike and defense, and its capacity to embark a fleet command staff enhances survivability by putting commanders closer to the fight. Preliminary concepts suggest a vessel measuring roughly 840 to 888 feet in overall length, with an estimated displacement in the range of 35,000 to 41,000 tons. For reference, Nimitz-class supercarriers have a length of 1,092 feet and displace around 100,000 tons. The propulsion architecture remains under evaluation. Current thinking indicates nuclear power is improbable, though it has not been definitively ruled out. Survivability would be a defining characteristic of any such vessel. Modern warships like the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer rely heavily on stealth, electronic warfare, and layered missile defense rather than physical armor. A future battleship concept might reintroduce some degree of armor, but not in the traditional sense of thick steel plating. Instead, it could incorporate advanced materials, compartmentalization, and redundancy to improve resilience. The warship will have AN/SPY-6 V1 radar. The AN/SPY-6 is the U.S. Navy's next-generation radar, an active electronically scanned array, or AESA 3D radar. It's designed to give ships integrated air and missile defense. One of the biggest strengths of SPY-6 is its scalable, modular design. The system itself consists of two primary radars and a radar suite controller. The S-band radar handles long-range volume search, ballistic missile tracking, and communications. The X-band radar provides precision tracking, horizon search, and terminal target illumination. Together, they also support navigation, periscope detection, and missile guidance. SPY-6 uses gallium nitride, GaN, semiconductors, which allow much higher power density compared to older gallium arsenide modules. As a result, the radar needs roughly twice the electrical power of its predecessor, but it generates over 35 times more radar power. And SPY-6 V1, also known as the Air and Missile Defense Radar, has 4 phased array faces, each containing 37 RMAs. It offers up to 15 decibels more sensitivity than the older SPY-1 radar, meaning it can detect targets half the size at double the distance. The guided missile battleship BBG-X is designed with a substantial and versatile strike capability, centered on an extensive vertical launch system comprising an 80-cell Mark 41 vertical launch system in the aft section and a 48-cell Mark 41 VLS forward, supplemented by a 12-cell conventional prompt strike CPS missile silo. This configuration enables the deployment of a broad spectrum of munitions, including surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship weapons, land attack cruise missiles, and potentially hypersonic strike systems. Complementing its missile armament, the vessel places renewed emphasis on naval gunfire, featuring 2 Mark 45 naval gun equipped with high-velocity projectiles for extended-range precision engagement, alongside a 32 megajoule railgun that reflects a forward-looking approach to long-range kinetic strike capabilities. Close-range defense is further reinforced by 4 Mark 38 30mm cannons for asymmetric threats and 2 RIM 116 rolling airframe missile launchers, integrated within a layered defensive architecture supported by advanced radar and electronic warfare systems. In addition, the BBX incorporates 2 directed energy laser systems in the 30 to 60 kilowatt class, intended for counter-drone operations, small boat defense, and supplementary close-in missile defense, signaling a broader transition toward energy-based weapons to mitigate reliance on finite missile inventories. The platform also demonstrates strong aviation and unmanned systems integration, with a flight deck capable of operating the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey, supported by 2 large hangars for helicopters and unmanned aerial systems, as well as dedicated counter-UAS capabilities to defend against drone swarms. The projected cost of the lead vessel in the proposed Trump-class battleship program is expected to exceed $17 billion, according to budget documentation released by the United States Navy. This estimate is startling, as it would make the lead battleship more expensive than the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, the lead ship of the Ford-class aircraft carriers, which is valued at approximately $13.3 billion. The U.S. Navy's spending plan outlines a request for $1 billion in advanced procurement funding in fiscal year 2027, followed by $16.47 billion in net procurement funding in fiscal year 2028, when acquisition of the first platform is scheduled. In total, the weapons system cost for the lead ship is currently estimated at $17.47 billion. Speaking during the roundtable with reporters on the sidelines of the conference, John Phelan characterized these figures as preliminary. He noted that the estimates remain subject to refinement as the program progresses through early development and cost normalization processes. Phelan stated, "We will have a clearer understanding as we move forward and begin to rationalize the cost structure. It is important to assess where the lead ship ultimately settles in terms of cost and how economies of scale may influence subsequent units. This platform represents a necessary addition to the force, offering enhanced operational flexibility. However, certain variables, such as whether the ship will incorporate nuclear propulsion, continue to influence cost projections." The contract award for the lead vessel, USS Defiant, is scheduled for April 2028, with construction anticipated to commence in August 2028. Delivery to the Navy is currently projected for August 2036. Follow-on ships in the class are expected to be delivered in August 2038 and August 2039, respectively. The weapon system unit cost for these vessels is projected to decrease to approximately $13.5 billion for the second ship and $12 billion for the third, reflecting anticipated efficiencies in production. The Navy intends to procure 3 ships under the Future Years Defense Program, which extends through fiscal year 2031. Total net procurement funding for the program during this period is estimated at approximately $43.5 billion. According to Navy budget documentation, the Guided Missile Battleship BBGX program is intended to support both the expansion and modernization of the nation's large surface combatant fleet, thereby reinforcing maritime superiority. Officials emphasize that the battleship addresses a validated requirement for high-end surface combat capabilities that cannot be fulfilled by existing fleet assets. The concept of a future battleship faces substantial skepticism. One of the primary concerns is cost. As estimates suggest, it will be extraordinarily costly. Another challenge is vulnerability. While improved defenses and potential armor could enhance survivability, no surface ship is invulnerable in the face of modern anti-ship weapons. Hypersonic missiles, in particular, pose a significant threat due to their speed and maneuverability. Adversaries such as China have developed systems specifically designed to target high-value naval assets, raising questions about the practicality of investing in large, conspicuous platforms. There is also the question of operational relevance. The U.S. Navy's current force structure is built around carrier strike groups, amphibious ready groups, and a mix of destroyers, cruisers, and submarines. Integrating a new class of battleship would require not only significant investment, but also a reevaluation of doctrine, training, and logistics. Technological trends may ultimately determine whether the concept becomes viable, and there are indications in this regard. Officials wrote in the budget documents, "An innovative strategy is guiding the new battleship's design and construction, centered on a state-of-the-art digital workflow. This utilizes modern digital engineering, AI-enabled design, and advanced production practices to reduce cost and schedule risk." Adopting best practices from Korean and Japanese shipbuilding, the approach emphasizes high design maturity before construction begins, precision modular construction, and tight integration between design and production teams. This digital-first modular approach allows for distributed construction across the industrial base, with U.S. shipyards focusing on final assembly and integration. The strategy is designed to stabilize the workforce, increase industrial resilience, and deliver the new capability more predictably and affordably. Advances in hypersonic weapons, directed energy systems, and autonomous platforms are reshaping the naval battlefield. At the same time, improvements in materials science, power generation, and digital engineering are enabling new approaches to ship design. If these technologies mature in a way that enhances survivability and reduces costs, the case for a new type of battleship could become more compelling.